found my bunker.
Woo! That's some Sleepy John Estes bringing the Mailman Blues to open the show today. Hey, y'all from Tennessee. Welcome to the State and Beal podcast. This is the place where we celebrate Tennessee, the volunteer state, the Big Bend state, the hog and hominy state. On this show, we love Tennessee from State Street in Bristol to Beale Street in Memphis, with apologies to Mountain City. My name is Toby Sells. I am the host, producer, proprietor, cow punch, and bottle washer over here at State and Beal. And now my boys have told me that the intro to this thing is way too long, so I'm just going to get into it. This is Sleepy John Estes in a 1966 performance of Mailman Blues. It's from an old YouTube video, and I hope I don't get in trouble for sharing it here, but this is 100% pure Tennessee music. I'll embed the video so you can see it, but John is playing a guitar and singing, and his accompanist, I can't believe I got that word right, is playing blues on a mandolin, and it rips. I found this video through the brand new-ish exhibit at the Tennessee State Museum. It's formally called the Tennessee Playlist, the people, places, and roots of our music. The show is on right now, and it runs until 2028, I think, so plenty of time to see it. It begins with native traditions, then it runs through the arrival of Europeans and Africans, through country music, rock and roll, and hip-hop, and brings you right to the present with mariachi and Kurdish music. All of it made right here in what we all call Tennessee. There's an online component that I just love, and you don't even have to travel to Nashville to see it. It's called 95 Counties of Sound. It has an interactive map of Tennessee's counties, and so you click on one and it'll give you some music history tied to that county. For example, I clicked on Haywood County in West Tennessee, and that's where I found old Sleepy John Estes. He was born in Ripley and then moved to Brownsville. That's where I found this video. On that same page, you'll find a performance outfit once worn by Tina Turner, who was born in Nutbush in Haywood County. Go find your county and see what kind of music history the museum researchers found there. One museum researcher, Dr. Miranda Fraley Rhodes, was central to putting together the Tennessee Playlist exhibit. She's the assistant chief curator of the Tennessee State Museum, and she was kind enough to give me some time to talk Tennessee music this week. And she also asked that I just call her Miranda, so I'll say, thank you so much, Miranda. If you have some Tennessee music to share on the show, please do. Send a link to Toby at stateandbeal.com, and I'll give you credit and a link, and I may even send you a Tennessee quarter in the mail. Head over to stateandbeal.com where you can read even more great Tennessee stuff. Also, please follow this show wherever you get your podcast for a brand new episode every week. All right, now my boys would tell me I've now taken way too long, so let's get after it. Dr. Miranda Fraley Rhodes is the assistant chief curator of the Tennessee State Museum and one of the chief architects, maybe architects is the right word there, of the brand new Tennessee Playlist exhibit right now at the Tennessee State Museum. Miranda, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This is fascinating for me. I know this went up in the fall of last year. I still haven't seen it, so it's new to me. But it looks amazing over there. How's the reception been on the show so far?
Really positive. It is so wonderful to go up in the gallery and see guests enjoying the exhibit.
So now the Tennessee Playlist includes 4,000 square feet of physical displays showcasing artifacts related to the state's musical history and highlighting people who have contributed to the many traditions that have comprised the music of Tennessee. And if that sounds composed, that's straight from the Tennessee State Museum website. To get started, Miranda, many states, they can claim that they have a rich musical heritage, and many do, but it seems like Tennessee kind of stands out. Is that true, or is that just my Tennessee pride talking?
I think that is correct. And it is true on so many levels, both from Tennessee as really an international leader in music, all the way to just the enjoyment that individuals get out of participating in music. And that's something we really wanted to explore in the exhibit and to invite guests to think about how they contribute to Tennessee's musical traditions.
Yeah, and maybe can you just give me a really broad overview of the exhibit and what folks can expect if they go to see it?
Sure. Well, we have all different kinds of artifacts, which that's really exciting to me as a curator, to really get to share things from the museum's collection. I love the instruments and costume, lots of different kinds of artifacts for visitors to see. But really, at the heart of the exhibit is the stories of many people involved in music in Tennessee through time, right? And one of the things that we really wanted to talk about in the exhibit was the diversity of Tennessee music, really from the origins of the state, how it's involved many different people from different cultures.
Yeah, and going back just a second, that was interesting. You were talking about the artifacts, the clothes, the instruments, and there's a ton of them. And I'll put links to the exhibit in the show notes. But how do y'all go about finding those items, getting them, and then using them to tell the stories?
Well, we are very fortunate to have a deep collection. And most of the artifacts in the exhibit are from the Science collection that really for decades we've been building. We are also extremely fortunate to have some items on loan that we're able to share in the exhibit. We're very grateful for that. And it is such a joy to do artifact research for an exhibit and to try to come up with things that the public will really enjoy getting to see.
So does an artist's family say, I've got so and so's guitar in the attic, and I don't know what to do with it. I can't part with it. Will y'all look after it? Is that how that works?
Oftentimes, yes, most of our artifacts come to us through donations to the museum.
And so y'all take them, preserve them, curate them. I imagine there's a warehouse with stuff that you can't. I'm sure you can't put everything on exhibit at one time. So you have maybe a storehouse for some stuff, and you figure out kind of the story you want to tell. Go find those things, and then bring them out. Is that how that process works?
It is, and we're really excited. One of the features of the Tennessee Playlist exhibit is that we plan to rotate some of the gallery areas and put out new artifacts after a while. So, for our guests, they can come again and hopefully see something a little different.
And you hit on something interesting that I thought as I was looking through some of the information here. And I want to mention beforehand that there is also a Spotify playlist where you can find all of this music that's included in the exhibit. And I'm going to go listen to some of this. But what really caught my eye was the musical traditions of some of the first Southeastern Indians that were here, like the Cherokees and Choctaws. What stories are there? What did that music sound like? What can you tell me about that?
Yes, we were very grateful to be able to learn more about these traditions, including about the life of Walker Calhoun, who was a member of the Eastern Band of the Cherokee Nation. And he really played a pivotal role in helping to preserve and share some of their musical traditions. So there's some really wonderful stories associated with Native American music in Tennessee.
And as I was writing up my notes for the show, I had to stop myself and not try to dig into every interesting thing that I found on there. And I don't want to go too broadly either. But then after that, in the 1700s, Europeans and Africans came or were brought to Tennessee. How did this change Tennessee music?
Well, as different peoples interacted, um, that was very much a way that music grew and changed and developed. So Tennessee music grows out of these many cultures that have contributed to our state, and that really just enriches the traditions.
Sure, and even in the instruments, right? I know that the banjo came from Africa, and then other string instruments like guitars, mandolins, those were either folk or English, European somehow, and they all kind of came together somehow and formed a lot of the basis of the music that we know today. Is that kind of how that works?
That's true. And a great example of that is a string band music. So that's a tradition that used a lot of different instruments, banjos, with their origins in Africa, different stringed instruments like violins, guitars, and many different kinds of people played string band music and still do today. So it is a wonderful tradition, and it's a great way to look at all of these interactions and ways that music also helps to build communities.
And switching gears again on music, we can do that many times here too. But as I was going through, I had the opportunity years ago to see the Fisk Jubilee Singers, and they're amazing. They're in the show. Who are they, and why are they important to Tennessee music?
The Fifth Jubilee Singers were the first artists who really brought international prominence to Tennessee music. And their story is so important to Tennessee history. Um, the early Fifth Jubilee Singers, which they have a wonderful tradition of excellence that continues until today. Um, but beginning in the 1870s, the Fifth Jubilee Singers, some of whom were formerly enslaved, um, they were really contributing to the development and to sustaining university as a place for education for Black Tennesseans. And they sacrificed oftentimes their own educational goals to help tour internationally to raise funds for the university.
And it's beautiful music. Would you call it choral music? Is what that is?
Yes, the Fifth Jubilee Singers are especially known for bringing the genre of spirituals really to the attention of audiences internationally. So they performed concert versions of spirituals and it really made that genre popular.
There's a whole section that just focuses on technology in music, and it was everything from the jukebox to the microphone. How did all of that shape our music here?
Well, technology is so important to thinking about music in Tennessee. With our wonderful music industry, it's like looking at the technology helps us better understand how the recording industry really developed in Tennessee and how Tennessee artists have used technology to share their music with the world. So we're grateful to be able to feature that. Right now, we have some radios and a vinyl disc cutter like you would use to record records. And we have a wonderful jukebox collection here at the Tennessee State Museum. And those are such fun items to share with the audiences as well.
And they're gorgeous, the ones that I've seen online, and you don't see a jukebox like that anymore, and it's a shame because they're just these beautiful pieces of art, I think. And I'll say one more time, I don't have time to go through all of the different even genres that we support here in Tennessee, but in the exhibit, you'll see folk music and spirituals, blues to blue suede shoes, Dolly Parton, Chet Atkins, Charlie Pride, soul music, hip hop and southern rap. You even got some mariachi music in there and Kurdish music that's celebrated in the exhibit. So it's this wide, broad thing. So before you think that Nashville or Tennessee is just about Music Row, it is this huge, wide thing that's happening in Tennessee. And one of the parts of the exhibit that I really like is the online exhibit that I was able to check out. It's called the 95 Counties of Sound. and I'll have a link to that in the on the show notes and on the website. And you can click on any Tennessee county that you want to, and it'll give you a musical history for each one. How did that part of the exhibit come around? And did y'all find any really interesting facts?
Here at the Tennessee State Museum, we very much want to serve all of Tennessee. And thinking about county stories for every county is that really helps us to really challenge ourselves. And it was wonderful to really focus on some of those local stories. One thing that surprised me and that really was amazing, there were all of these local bands throughout the state. Sometimes even very rural communities would have their own bands, bands from lots of different kinds of communities. And we saw things about singings, community singings, where people would come and join together in song, and it would just be a big public event where people would go and have a good time. And then we even get on the more individual level stories about how people studied music, really aspiring to professional careers in music education. So just there was so much to learn, and we're continuing to learn and study. So I really hope that people will enjoy those county stories.
They are really, really fun, and that's just a fun website to play around on for sure. Kind of coming to the close here, I'm going to ask a big question that might not have a good, easy answer to, but how on earth did music become so important to Tennessee and its cultural identity?
Well, I think there are a lot of factors in there, but to me, one of the things that comes out of the research for this exhibit is just at how many different levels of experience music has been meaningful to Tennessee. It's certainly a very much a part of our state's international brand, right? Our state's economy. But then on just a day to day level, how valued music is by Tennesseans, and how many Tennesseans not only, listen to music and enjoy music, but participate in one way or another. And that's such an important part of the musical story of our state is how broad the reach of music is and really how much it has meant to so many Tennesseans through time.
Absolutely. It's an understatement to say that we take it pretty seriously here in the state. Well, that is everything that I had, all the questions that I had. I know there's a ton that we didn't get to, but is there anything that we left out or anything that you'd like to add?
One of the aspects of the exhibit is looking at the places in Tennessee where people make music and enjoy music from front porches to stadiums, right?
Right.
And we really wanted to highlight in the galleries, in part to make it an inviting and creative space, some of the venues in our state. And right now we have a venue artifact on display, which is one of the original benches from the Ryman Auditorium. And I know that people connect the Ryman with country music, which is very appropriate. But throughout its history, the Ryman has been a venue for all different kinds of music, gospel, classical, just all sorts of artists have been featured there and continue to be in the current Ryman. And those venues are really an important part of Tennessee music stories. We also look a bit at Beale Street and how important that area has been to the development, particularly of blues. And here in Nashville, Jefferson Street and the rhythm and blues traditions here in Nashville. So Tennessee is so fortunate to have these musical communities and spaces where people can create and really build traditions.
You can find out more about Tennessee venues at the Tennessee State Museum. The exhibit is called the Tennessee Playlist. It says it's a temporary exhibit. Miranda, do you know how long will this exhibit be on?
Well, it's planned for approximately 5 years, and we will have some areas that change over time. So encourage people to visit and visit again.
Absolutely. And there's also a little stage area with a microphone that looks perfect for some selfies for social. So make sure you go and get on that stage and get one of those. Dr. Miranda Fraley Rhodes is the Assistant Chief Curator of the Tennessee State Museum. Miranda, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Please stop by my bunker.
Thank y'all so much for listening to this episode of State and Beal. All right, now before we leave, I have a short personal story to share, and one that's a little embarrassing. We love Greer's Ferry Lake in Arkansas. It's close to Memphis and crystal clear, just like my beloved Dale Hollow Lake back home, DHL. We rented a house, and it's one of those with a steep driveway. Long story short, I got stuck. It's a country boy's worst nightmare. Getting stuck and having to ask somebody else to come and drag you out. Ugh. But that's what I did. For the sake of my family, I forsake my country pride. I called Cleburne County Towing, and within a few minutes, Jeff was there with a huge truck. The hill was steep, and he didn't want to get that truck stuck either. Didn't know if he had a gear low enough to get it and my car off the hill. So Jeff offered to see if he could just drive it out of there. It pinched my pride a little bit, but again, for my family, I said okay. And Jeff got in and drove her right off the mountain like a champ. Now, we had all unloaded all of our gear. Nobody was in there, so it was lighter, you see. And so, now I probably could have just, anyway. My pride was hurt, but the vacation was saved, and Jeff and his boss wouldn't even let us pay them for the full amount of a tow. All right, now what's this got to do with Tennessee? Well, when some Tennesseans were on a visit in their great state, some super nice Arkansans showed up to help. So if you ever get in trouble around Greer's Ferry, call Cleburne County Towing. Tell them Toby sent you. Hey y'all, thanks again. You really saved my bacon. Head to the Tennessee State Museum sometime and check out the Tennessee Playlist. There's way more to it than I could have ever gotten to on this show. And check out the 95 Counties of Sound exhibit online. All right, folks, well, that'll do it for this episode. Thanks again. We'll see you back here in Tennessee next week for more State and Beal. State and Beal was written, produced, and hosted by me, Toby Sells. My ultimate goal is to make State and Beal a statewide magazine. Now, for that, I'll need money. So if you want to hear my pitch on this project, please drop me a line at toby@stateandbeal.com. And if you want to sponsor this show in the meantime, I would love to talk to you. All right, y'all. Thanks so much.
I've been waiting on it, man. You know he used to come along, but let me down.
What's the matter, man? What's the matter?
You know, I guess he must have had car trouble.